Hey, Coach, huge week for you guys. What do you kind of take from the team's attitude this week, knowing the magnitude of a game like this?
Well, I think we've been pretty locked in for a while since our loss to Union City, and even before that, every week's a championship week. There's too many good teams. You have to treat every team as if you basically survive in advance. And these last 2 weeks, we're fortunate enough where we're in a three-way tie with two other teams, and they're on our schedule in week 8 and 9. So not many teams get that opportunity, losing in the conference, and then a chance to control your own destiny down the stretch. So our kids are locked in. They're excited.
I know it's kind of easy for me to say it's fun from my vantage point. Is it fun from a coaching standpoint?
I don't know if I'd call it fun. Certainly not through the week. Sometimes on Friday night it's fun, but no, it's definitely stressful, especially playing two really good teams down the stretch. And really the back half of our schedule has been really, really good. Really, every week is a tough opponent. So
talk about this week. I saw them play up at Ball State, and I thought they were pretty good then, but now they seem to be getting better and better. From the defensive side, what do you see on that offense that you got to really slow down?
I see probably the best athlete in the conference who happens to play quarterback. He's got a lot of total yards. He's getting better every week. He's a really good runner, and he's a good passer too, which is at the high school level, especially any level, is very lethal. So our focus has to be on him. But they've got 2 or 3 good receivers they throw to. They've got a really good running back in the backfield. So it's all hands on deck, and we're trying to show our kids everything that they do, and just contain him and make them line up and keep running plays and not give up that big explosive play.
Is when you talk about a dual threat quarterback like that can do that so much. I mean, you talk about stress on the defense. You as a defensive coordinator, you're probably thinking, how do we get this guy slowed down a little bit? How do you prepare for that? Because you don't see that many guys like that.
No, he's a special athlete, and usually you hear guys on TV talk about it all the time. When quarterbacks run the ball, it's so lethal because that's an extra blocker that you're not accounting for. And so your defensive scheme, you have to make adjustments. You have to account for him on every play. You try to figure out, when they like to do certain things based on formations. But sometimes, a play breaks down, and that's the scariest part. When it breaks down, he tucks it and decides to run. And, I mean, it's like little kids at recess trying to tag somebody. He goes all over the place, and he's made some defenses look really bad, but it's because he's so good.
I know you being the defensive coordinator, do you see something, let's kind of switch it around a little bit, what do you see in their defense that maybe what you guys can do offensively you can exploit? Well,
they're very aggressive. They're active up front. They do a lot of slanting. Their linebackers are good, and they've won 2 games. The difference in the game was a defensive touchdown. One against Union City, they had a pick 6, and then at Ball State against Winchester, Olivo had a pick 6, and that they won by 6 points. So they're very active as a defense. They fly around. That's a big thing. You try to get your kids to do that on the defensive side of the ball, but they fly around to the football. So we've got to we've got to communicate up front. We've got to be really sound fundamentally and just physical. We've got to try to impose our will and be really physical up front.
Hey, Coach, from a health standpoint, are you guys about where you need to be again? I know you're getting a couple of kids back, which has got to be huge for this team.
It's kind of the same always as it goes. You lose one and you get one back in high school football. So we had a kid get hurt last week. We won't have him this week, but we're also getting a starter back that was starting before he got hurt at Ball State. So I guess we've drawn even, but we're excited to get Nate Fletcher back and work him back into the mix, and hopefully it'll be a help this week. So
I know you guys have been through a lot of big games over your career. What advice do you give some of the players knowing that you're going into such a big game to kind of maybe don't get too hyped, or you just kind of keep things as even as you can?
We talked about it on Monday. They're going to have successful plays. They're going to break tackles. They're going to have a big play. But the biggest thing is you leave it. You go on to the next play. You can't get too high after a good play for us, and you can't get down and then lose focus on the next play after they have a successful play. It's a long game. 48 minutes is a long time. Even you give up a long touchdown, you line up and you get it back. You work your way back into it. So that's the biggest advice is just keeping an even keel and just kind of ride the storm out and keep plugging.